Greetings friends, welcome back to the channel. Today's a really special video because we're going to be talking about my word of the year guide that I created. This is my copy that I've actually filled out myself, and I just wanted to talk to you about the guide in case you are interested, and just give a little bit of background on what it is, how I've created it, kind of what you can use it for, and what you can expect with it. So I started doing a word of the year practice, I want to say about 8 years ago. Yeah, maybe about 8 years ago, maybe 9. I can't remember exactly, but pretty much I started the practice, and I had seen it kind of going around. This is when I was, in religious circles, and I thought, oh, that's a really cool way to do resolutions. They don't really work for me, so I thought I'll give it a try. And of course, since then it's just been like amazing, and I just love to do it. It's such a crucial part of my yearly ritual and yearly intention setting, and just being able to track my life in a way and to see the things that I prioritize on my journey, on my path, and who I am, who I want to become, and just a sort of way to mark that becoming. And so a few years ago, this is my 5th year creating a guide, so seems like 5 years ago I decided, you know what, like it'd be really fun if I created a guide that other people could use. Like I could create some prompts, put a little booklet together, and just offer it for people to try it out for themselves. And so I did that. And over the years, it has been really cool to see how I've changed through the way that I've approached the guide. So that's been really fun. I can show you a few covers right here so that you can see what they've looked like throughout the years. Definitely, it's been so much fun to create this. It's really been a creative outlet, and in its own way, including the word, it has been a marker of my own growth. So that's been really wonderful. But so what my intention is for the guide and what you can expect, to use it for, what it includes, things like that. I'm not going to be giving everything away because I think that's a little bit of the beauty of doing it, is discovering it for yourself. But I wanted to give enough information that you kind of know what you're getting into, and yeah, I can just tell you about it, You're curious, so let's just talk about it. So because this guide was created with the intention of not doing resolutions, it's really about, as I said, the process of becoming and honoring and celebrating ourselves without it being about, specific milestones or accomplishments in our lives. There's plenty of time and opportunity for us to really mark those transitions and, big events in our lives, but really it's about sitting with the little events, the flowing nature of it all, the spiral, things like that. And so I really wanted to carve a space where, it felt like this quiet little pocket, this little bubble where you could sit and say, how am I doing? What is on my heart? Where am I in my path? And what does that look like in this year? And to really set this really, it's not meant to be totally concrete, it's meant to be more discreet, more intuitive, instinctual, that kind of feeling. And so the guide will help you find a word if you don't have a word already. But I've really also carved space for unpacking the word, looking up definitions, marking, are there like songs that, make you think of that word? Are there poems or like phrases and quotes? It also includes some what I call wise words, I think is what I'm calling them. But they're pretty much quotes that, support the energy of the year as I see it. So I've included like a bunch of words that you could try to use for yourself. There's 54 words this year, which is more than I've ever put in a guide. And what I've been doing, well, this is my 2nd year doing it, I've created, as I'm sure you've probably seen, a little deck with all the words that I've included in the guide. And so in a way, that's me sort of saying what I'm feeling for the year and the words that feel like 2024 for me. So that's a really interesting part of the guide that I really love to make. But it's also, if you do already have a word, like I said, it's here to support your existing practice, or if you have a theme or an intention, and that's sort of how you go about your year or anything else related. It's a great way to sort of break that down, look at definitions, look at synonyms, and dig into the word. I feel like it's a really fun thing to look at, sort of the linguistics of it all. So if you have a theme or if you have an intention, something that's, a phrase or anything like that, then it's a way to sort of dig into the language of that and say, what does that really mean? What are the denotations? What are the connotations? What are the associations that I put with that? And really have fun sort of going down a rabbit hole. That's one of the parts I really, really love. And that's what makes my word feel so special to me, are the meanings that I attach to it. And there's space for you to pretty much write out, like, what does it mean to you? So with all those definitions, with all those synonyms and connections, how does that look for you? And really just opening yourself up to taking time for yourself. I'm sure I don't have to explain to you all how valuable and beneficial and how far that goes in creating the world that we want to live in when we are in tune with ourselves and connected with our center, who we are at our core. But yeah, I really wanted to create a space where you can sort of float and drift in that space, leave the rationality behind, and just have fun exploring. So just as a little bit of a preview, I always like to start with a check-in. And so with this guide, I decided to start with a body scan. So if that's something that feels safe for you, it's how we start the guide, just asking, where do you feel 2024 in your body? With this guide, I really leaned into the metaphor of food and nourishment. And so depending on where you are feeling 2024 in your body, asking yourself, what is that part of your body hungry for? And so that was a fun way. I think I really leaned into metaphor a lot more heavily this year. And I always feel like this guide is my best yet. So I'm like super excited for you guys to see it. And an important note about the guide too is that it's so much about pushing back against the capitalist and, ableist structures around the new year, around what your body's supposed to look like, what kinds of things you should be striving for that make you successful or a good person, and in what time you should be accomplishing those things, and in what times you should be setting your goals. There's all that, like, reflect in December and then hit the ground running on January 1st. And if you don't hit the ground running on January 1st, then you've kind of already failed. And that was the, like, intense feeling that led me to making this guide and led me to doing this practice, which is that I don't believe in that. And I don't think that that is the way to think about the rhythms and the cycles of nature, and these cycles and spiral that we go through on our own paths, and that we as humanity go on. These are really, when I think about the solar system, the body, nature, all of these relationships and all of these cycles, they're not start stop, they are flowing. It's really important to me to break down these constructs of time and these sort of debilitating mindsets around what a life is supposed to look like and what time is supposed to look like. Time is a construct. We're making our way. It's helpful at times, but in a lot of ways, especially within the culture that we're in now, and the global climate, globalization and everything feels like it has to just keep moving, going fast, and that's just not the case. So I'll be real, it's been really, really hard to feel like I should put this out at all, because December and January were a lot tougher for me than I expected. These things happen, and it's really, really hard sometimes to stick to what you planned on doing when, other things take precedent. So I did finish the guide in December, and I did do it myself, as I always do. And, my queer platonic partner did it, at which they always do. And I was really worried about putting it out, and it was just a reminder to me, because even though I was already going against time by putting it out in January, but it's February now, and this is just an opportunity for me to practice what I preach. And I don't aim to preach, but you get the point. It's a way for me to live what I believe, and it's that time is a construct. And really, with the world that we're living in, a lot of times it just feels like, does this even matter? And I've had to fight with myself around that, even with this practice that has done so much for my life and this guide that means so much to me to create. I've had to ask myself, you know, does it even matter to put it out? But I'm like, yeah, it does. Let it be March and put it out. You know, like, what does it matter? You know, also then, you know, like I'm saying, time is a construct. You know, Lunar New Year is coming up this weekend, and you know, we have the astrological New Year happening in March. We have folks who really look at Samhain as like the new year. There's so many different conceptions of time and where, you know, your cycles begin and end and where they transition. So, you know, this has just been another reminder for me. So I just wanted to also be open and honest about that, because it's been kind of tough to be like, oh, you know, I usually have it out in December. This time I said January and now it's going to be February, but you know, whatever. But I think that's all I want to share about the guide today. If you have any questions, please let me know. The link to the guide is in the description. I have it shared on my Ko-fi page, Ko-fi, I think is how you say it. But there it's going to be $8 if you want to purchase it there. I'll be really happy to hear, you know, what experiences you have with it if you do choose to try it out. Like I said, please feel free to ask me any questions if you have any questions. I'm happy to explain anything else if you feel like, you know, anything was unclear. I really wanted to go with a more fluid way of describing it and just really sit and talk to you about it and just let you know what it is, and just share my heart with it, really. So I hope that gives you a good rundown of what it's all about. Thank you so much for joining me and for your support on the channel. That means so much to me, and I'm so happy to be back with you and to be creating content. I have, as always, so many exciting things and things that I've promised in the past that I have to do. I mean, not have to, but you know what I mean, that I want to do, and that I can't wait to share with you all, and just new things that are always coming to mind that I want to share, you know. I was going to say never enough time, but that would be a contradiction. But hey, if I contradict myself, I contradict myself. I contain multitudes, right? Anyway, let's not wax poetic. I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much. I love you so much. Bye.